Hi guys, Awasta here. This is the first of two videos I will make about this character, and this is the character I use in the Talisman League. It's a custom crit character. This first video will be a guide about the crit, custom crit and dual wielding crit. So let's start with crit. Each time in this game you will shoot an ability, one time, two times, three times. Each time you shoot, the game will roll a number between 1 and 100. Let's say I shoot and the game roll 50. If I have my critical strike chance, in this case I have 37.86. I shoot, the game roll 50, I have 37, this shoot is not a crit. I shoot another time, the game roll 10, I have 37, I pass the roll, then this shoot is a crit. If you are using a spell, since the spell do not need accuracy, each mob you hit with your crit will take the damage augmented by the critical strike chance multiplier that you have. If you are using an attack that use accuracy, like a normal attack, the game will check for each mob you hit your chance to hit. That can be a maximum of 95%. You can augment this with your accuracy, or you can have a Vagan weapon that have your hit can't be evaded. Then if you hit the mob, since this is a crit, the game will roll a second time your chance to hit. If you pass it, the crit will pass and your damage will be augmented by your critical strike chance multiplier. If you do not pass the second chance to hit, the hit will be a normal hit and will deal a normal damage. So for the spells, your critical strike chance is important, and for attack that use accuracy is important both critical strike chance and chance to hit. Your critical strike chance is based on the spells. In the case of the spells base critical strike chance, like this is 6, or for the attack, your basic critical strike chance of your weapon, like this is 10.4. You can augment for both cases the base critical strike chance with power charges that will give you 50 increased critical strike chance for each power charge you have, or with 3 critical strike chance from the node, or with the gem increased critical strike chance, or with your items like a diamond ring or other items. And you can also use the curse Assassin's Mark for augment your critical strike chance. And that's it for the normal crit. Let's pass to the custom crit setup. When you use a custom critical strike gem, you have to link it to an attack that will, when it crit, it will activate the custom critical strike, and it will have a chance to cast each spell you link with your custom critical strike. So you have to have a minimum of one attack, custom crit, and one spell. The mechanic work like this. Like we have said before, you crit an attack, you shoot your attack, you crit, then for each mob you hit, each mob, the gem will roll its chance to cast the spell. So the more mob you hit, the more time the gem will roll. So for example, you have one spell linked, you hit 10 mobs, you have 10 times 68% chance to cast this spell. You have 2 spells linked, you hit 10 mobs, you have 10 times 68% chance to cast this spell and 10 times 68% chance to cast this second spell. So it's important to crit, obviously, then hit many mobs and to have more than one possibly spell linked, so you have the maximum numbers of spell shoot for each time you hit. So what's important with custom crit? It's important, one, to have a high chance to crit, 2, to shoot very fast, to have also many chance in the same time to crit, to have a custom crit gem with a higher level, so it will give you more chance to cast the spells, and to have more than one spell linked, so it's important to have a high linked item with custom crit setup. And also it's important your accuracy, your chance to hit, because you are using an attack that use accuracy, so even if you don't have to care about the second time the game roll the chance to hit, because your damage is dependent of your spells and not of your attack critical strike chance multiplier, you have to care about accuracy because of the first time the game roll the chance to hit for hitting the mob and then activate your custom critical strike chance. And of course, like I've learned by the Mattheon YouTubers, sorry if I don't pronounce his name well, you can use a vegan weapon that have your hit can't be evaded, so you don't have to care about your accuracy. And that's it for the custom crit and the critical strike chance setup. I hope I don't have forgot something important. I do not have covered the small thing because of the time, like quality of the gems, etc, etc. Those things I have said till now is already known by the majority of the player in Path of Exile. But let's now pass to a more advanced topic, that is the dual wielding critical strike, or the dual wielding custom critical strike. With the dual wielding you will have 2 weapons, and with 2 weapons the majority of the time you will have 2 different base critical strike chance, 8 in this case, 8 on this one and 10.4 on this other one. Even after all the modifier that you will have on weapon, 3 power charges, you will remain with 2 different critical strike chance. So what happens when you crit with dual wielding? The majority of the attacks have, when dual wielding, have your weapon will be switched each attack. So you attack one time with this, one time with this, one time with this, etc, etc. This is simple. You attack with this, you have a base critical strike chance, a certain number on critical strike chance. The game for that attack will roll its number 1 to 100. You can crit, you cannot crit, then you use another attack with another weapon, and all this is repeated, so it's not a problem. But there are some attacks that, like cleave, like barrage, like dual strike, that use both weapons at the same time. So what happens when both of the weapons are used but they have different base critical strike chance? In this case I will talk about barrage, but this is also apply with other attacks that use both weapons at the same time. With barrage you have your attack shoot 3 additional projectiles. When dual wielding, half of the projectiles will be shot with one weapon and the other half with the other one. In this case I use greater multiple projectiles, so I shoot 8 projectiles and I shoot 4 projectiles with this weapon and 4 with this when I use my ability. So is 8, 4 by this, 4 by this. So like we said before, each time you shoot your ability, for the sake of the critical strike, the game will roll a number between 1 and 100. The critical strike chance is rolled once each time you shoot your ability, so once for ability use. But since you are dual wielding, when the game roll the number 1 to 100, you will have to confront this number with the 2 different critical strike chance. In this case, my main weapon is have higher critical strike chance. In this case is 37.86. The half-armed weapons have 29.12. So let's make an example. I use the ability, the game roll 50. 50 is the number of this ability crit. This weapon have 37, so it's lower. This weapon do not pass the crit. This weapon is 29, is lower, so this weapon do not pass the crit. The ability at all do not crit. Another example, use the ability, the game roll 30. This weapon have 37. This weapon will pass the crit. This weapon have 29, so this weapon will not pass the crit. If this was a non-custom crit setup, let's say for example, the projectile shooted by this weapon, those 4 projectiles, as a crit, if they hit the mob, they then roll the second chance to hit to determine if they do the damage multiplier or if they do the normal damage. Those other 4 projectiles, since this weapon do not pass the crit roll, simply do the normal damage as a normal hit. With the custom crit setup, these 4 projectiles as a crit can roll the, in this case 68 chance to cast supported spell. Those other 4 projectiles do nothing. Those are not crit, so they cannot roll the chance to cast the spell. A third example, I use the ability, the game set the crit number to 10. Both weapons have critical strike chance higher than 10, so those 4 projectiles are a crit, those 4 projectiles are a crit, and the 8 projectile have the chance to cast the critical the linked spell, or if they was an attack, they have 2 chance to roll the second chance to hit for the sake of the crit, and if they pass the second chance, they do the damage multiplier. And that's it for the custom crit, dual wielding setup, and critical strike chance dual wielding setup. I hope my English was not so bad. If you write in the request in the comment, I will do this video in Italian. and the next video will be a showcase and a little guide about this character I use in the Talisman League. So good game to all, and bye.